Hello people, today we will be going over how to type someone with an example as well. We'll be giving you a variety of tools that you can use that can assist you in typing someone. Why do I sound like a robot? I'm starting to become like Melissa Talks. I have no idea. I'm sorry for saying her name. I know it's probably traumatic after uploading like 5 videos on her. I will stop. But today we will be going through the tools and the various ways to type people and the things that you can be considering while typing. Now, if you haven't like watched my videos about what the functions are, what the letters are, you haven't got the basics down, what are you even doing here, bro? Go watch them. They'll be like somewhere up here depending on your language. Anyway, so assuming you have the enough knowledge to be even watching this video to begin, or maybe you just want to see Moist Critical get typed. Ooh, I just spoiled that for you. Then welcome to this video. So we're gonna go from like kind of the most basic things to understand to the more difficult ones. So first of all, the clubs, there's kind of the general group of types you can be put in. Now there's so many ways to divide types, but one of the most let's say easiest to understand are like the clubs, which would be like kind of the two letters you have within your type name. Now for jumper types, please correct your letter codes so that the clubs make sense for you. Sometimes you need to correct your letter code, sometimes you don't. It's a bit of a complicated thing that I don't really want to get into today. I just want to focus on the typing element. Right, so here are the rules as you see down here for what to do if you're a jumper. But other than that, we kind of know what's up, right? So general idea is that these will be representative of your two functions, right? So if you're a INFJ jumper, you don't belong in NF because your functions are in ITI, so you would be in NT. Okay, just give you the idea. Okay, perfect. All right, so what are the clubs? As we see here, the clubs are just about kind of the general group of types you're in based on the general faculties of your functions, which is a bit too technicality of languages and it's goofy. But let's just give you an idea. So NFs are about patterns and values. They're about the implicit beauty of in life. That's what they really are. They're about that implicit beauty and ethics and wonder in life that isn't so explicit, that beauty of emotions and that beauty of understanding the hidden meanings behind things and all that lovely things. There are things that are quite very difficult to explain within language at many times. And yeah, like all, INFJs just want to kind of see kind of the future and what it holds. They just focus on people's emotions. They're very known for being like esoteric and spiritual. And then you go, for example, for INFPs, and then it's kind of a same but different situation with the whole thing of them being poetic and using language in most interesting ways. It's about the implicit kind of view, and you could kind of generalize them, kind of stereotype ideas like some kind of spiritual esoteric hippies. That's kind of the NF groups. And then on the opposing side we have the ST group, right? And in the center thinkers, right? They're all about, okay, what's here and how does it work, right? They're very explicit. They're very, very essential people in this world, serve a very important function and a very obvious one. And yeah, there's not much to say about them, and they're not often known for saying much. They're known for just getting stuff done, they're important, good people, man. Important, simple people. Not everyone has to be a complex mumble jumble NF, right? And then we get to the different area of NTs versus SFs. And within NT, you're all about the patterns and the functionality within the world. You're all about conjecture, right? There's this part that STs deal with, SFs somewhat, that whole thing of, oh, let me just go climb the ladder. But you as an NT, that doesn't really matter to you. You as an NT, what matters to you is, hey, so if you climb the ladder once and twice and thrice, doesn't that mean you're going to be able to fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth time? That's the important part, right? That hunches, that guessing, that analysis. That's the important thing for you as a NT. And then as for SFs, SFs are all about that explicit value, that explicit experiential. You just want to live life. You want to feel good, and you probably are a hedonist, and you just want to have that obvious, concrete, sensory way of enjoying the world. and that's who you are. You just wanna live life. You know, not much to say about them because I don't really understand them. But hey, and so these are kind of the four groups, right? And so if you're typing, one of the simplest things to do sometimes is to consider, okay, is this person NF, ST, NT, SF? These are four general categories that are, they're not very difficult to put people in. Yeah, that's about the clubs. And then in terms of stories, are stories ever so slightly more complex? I think stories are ever so slightly. Okay, so at this point we gotta kind of get into the functions, right? Make sure your function knowledge is up the top here. Letter correction may matter somewhat, but if you stick to the functions, it obviously will not. Right. So, with the stories, every one group of types has a arc, kind of a story arc, a consistent story arc that we can see within typings. A story that, despite how different the individuals within the types are, seem to be quite consistent because of the balances and the imbalances that happen, and the balance and the strength and the weaknesses that happen due to the function order, due to the architecture of the brain, despite the complexities of how that architecture may explain itself, may display itself, express itself, so on. And the four stories are as follows. Let's go with the EP. So with the EP, you're all about freedom. You're all about chaos. You're all about getting more and more and more. That's your story. You just want to be out there and you want to kind of go live that hedonistic life in some way. And that's kind of who you are. You don't want the matrix coming in this system and these stupid old systems, or wait a minute. I just realized I fucked up this thing. You don't want like some cabal of people planning your future and all that. You just want to kind of go out there and do your thing, or whatever, not necessarily yours, but kind of be out there. And you don't want these systems holding you back, whether you want to be out there for yourself or others. That's for EPs. But then IJs understand the value of order, organization, control, and they want to see harmony and order within life. They don't want everything to go to be a chaotic mess hole. They just want that organization and maybe some level of harmony. They understand the importance of order within life, and that's who IJs are. They're afraid of chaos. They don't like it. They're not so much spontaneous. Just wanna chill and calm down and make us all appreciate what we have. EPs. Maybe you should just sit down, look at what you have, and appreciate it. You don't always need more stuff. You don't always need more and more and more. Have you thought about actually appreciating the stuff? Now, obviously, IJs, we should go out. We should control things, not plan things. Just let them be sometimes. Let them be. Some things are better let off. And some things you don't even need to understand. You're just there, and you kind of have to accept that. It's nice. Go get some stuff for yourself if you're an IJ. Alright, so that's for IJs. But when it comes to IPs, now IPs are all about the self versus the stupid, incompetent, the inconsiderate people, the tribe. It's all about the self. It's all about my perspective. Hey guys, look at me. Look, you want to understand why does not anyone care about my perspective? And here's a tip for all IPs. They generally don't care. There's two things that people care about. There are three things, but there's only two of them which people care about. The third one, you're very focused about that. It's your perspective, how you saw things, how you felt about things, what your logic was, what your reasoning behind that was. That's the IP, right? But the tribe doesn't even consider that. You know what the tribe considers? Two things. One, the individuals, how they felt themselves, as in like the individuals within the tribe, how they felt about something. Two, how you come off objectively. I should have probably been switching more here, as I see. Yeah, probably should have been switching more. Yeah, so how the individuals within the tribe felt about the things. Can I just do this? No, that doesn't work. This. That switches me to a place I don't want to go there, bro. How about this? Oh. Where even how is this happening? I don't even understand how this. Whoa. I don't even know how this works, to be honest. Anyway, so the tribe doesn't really care about what you thought, what your reasoning was. Only two reasons, two things: how you came off objectively and how the individual felt about things. And if you start considering that fact within life more, your life is going to be easier. Whenever you're acting, remember that nobody's going to care about your reasoning or how you felt and whatever. They're just going to care about two things: how they felt and how it came off objectively. That's about it. But IPs are like, screw that. All what matters is our perspective. The tribe, they're stupid anyway. They're inconsiderate anyway. They don't get me. They don't get me. I know I'm right. That's the IP story. Then the EJ story is, it's flipping it all the way around. The EJ is all about how they come off objectively. They're all about how the tribe feels. They're all about that. Obviously, it depends on EJ. From EJ, INTJs and they're suggestive FE, but like it's nice. I wouldn't say they're an ENFJ or anything, but yeah. But they care about how they come off objectively. They care about the tribe. They're often leaders. They're often, they're providing functionality for the tribe all the time. So they do. But EJs themselves, have you guys considered yourselves? Like, if you don't want to care for yourself, at least in a healthy way. I've seen some, I'm gonna get to it in a second. Like, if you're not gonna care for yourself, so many EJs are just garbage people, horrible people, destroyed people, just because of this exact reason. They don't care about themselves, and then themselves retaliates, and then you have this very unbelievably toxic person. Why? Because it's just this inward feelings just get ignored, or their own logic gets ignored or whatever, and just like it's an abandoned child and it wants to get its revenge, and then it takes it out on the world. That's why we get so many like EJ archetypical stories of where the EJ is the bad guy, because that's what happens. That's what happens sometimes. So guys, take care of yourself maybe a little bit more. Consider your feelings a little bit more. Who cares how it comes objectively? Who cares what works and doesn't? Just go off your feelings sometimes, man. After you take care of them, EXFJs. Guys, you gotta be sensible. You gotta be logical. You get your reasons right. Understand the world. If you understand the world a little bit more, you can help people a little bit more too. Alright, so here are the stories. Now you have an idea of how each one is, and it's peculiarly one of the best tools to type people off of. If you just start hearing someone talk about, this is kind of what you want to look for in the typing the most. Their story. Are they an IJ? Do they keep complaining about the chaos and lack of order and lack of harmony despite all the control they try to implicate on it? Are they an EP? Absolutely chaotic. They absolutely ruining their life at every step of the way and don't know how. Are they an IP? All they care about is their perspective and they haven't considered what it actually matters. Are they an EJ? Are their stories all about how much they did for the people? The EXFJ is like, oh, I have so many friends. They all love me and my family. This is the most important thing. I just want everyone to be happy and all that. I'm spending this much time doing this and that and this and that. And the EXTJ is like, oh, I have this certification. I have this qualification. I did this for the people. I have functioned this. I'm functional. Look at me, how amazing I've been to the tribe. What story are you hearing? Which one? All right. So now we have the stories down. How long is this video? This video is gonna be a long one. This is gonna be we have a whole 10-minute video at least to look at, and we haven't gone through all. Oh my lord! At least it's a good video. I hope. All right, the Quadras. I might do the most critical typing in another video, just so this one doesn't become extremely long. Already longer than it is. Okay, we're gonna do most critical in another video. All right. So the Quadras. Socionics? Well, the quadra is going to be applied to any system within the functions that applies to functions. Now, how the quadras will be defined is somewhat different ever so slightly. So, what the quadras are about is what function combination you have. The functions do not exist isolated, but rather in a dynamic way with their, let's say, their other parts, let's say, within the 4 function stack. What 2 observing or perceiving functions do you have? What 2 judging or deciding functions do you have? Add them up together and you get your quadra, right? The TIFEs plus the NESIs, these are quadra. The blah, 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 these are quadras. And this matters a lot because the function dynamics that you have make you come off very differently and your communication styles very differently. And you as a person are obviously really different. And these are also some of the easiest tools and some of the most obvious tools to like determine someone's type off of. Like, I determined someone was like an NIC user within like 10 seconds with talking with them, and I turned out to be 100% correct after lots of verification. How did I do that? Well, I was like, okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys about jumpers, but before I do that, I need to go tell you a story. So this is NESI. NESI. And here's how I'm presenting the definitions. NESI is all about. Sorry for that sound. NESI is all about. Here's patterns, here's all these connections, and here's all the details, the depth of it, right? But the NISE user I had been talking to was like, do you have to? Do you really have to? Do I really have to experience this NESI experience? Do I really have to? I don't want this. And ISE is all about, it's all about really kind of presenting things in a most concise manner. They don't fuck with this SI shit, and they don't want all these connections. The NI wants to kind of converge down on all the connections, which is just make, give me the clear vision, right? And IC is about here is what's up and here is what will happen. That's what it is, and so they don't like this whole here's what happened, here's what could happen, ambiguous nonsense. No, they want this straight, discrete, concrete, quickly, boom, done stuff. They don't like all this detail and garbage, And the minute she said that, I realized she was an IC. The minute she said that, and then 1 minute after that, she said, "Oh, but I don't want to sit through this. Like, I don't care. Yeah, but I don't care, And then I had determined that she was TEFI, and that's kind of TEFI. TEFI is very judicial. It's very much about like kind of the ethics and the practicality and the pragmatic elements of things. What works for everyone and what I want. And that turned out also to be right. Now, obviously, 1 minute typings are not particularly accurate most of the times, but I'm just trying to display how sometimes these things can be really quick and how efficient these tools are. And then the last one, in terms of the IFE, the one thing the IFE share together most certainly is harmony. The IFE wants to have this reason, and reason is universal. That's kind of what reason is for. It's to have this universal language. Feelings can't really communicate them to other people. You need their perspective, which you can't have. But reasons like physics, math, no matter who you are, you can understand them. Math is slightly more of so questionable. You have to put the work in, but you can understand them. It's universal, and that's kind of what the I is about. It's logic, okay, and according to this system, this, that. Understandable by everyone. And FE is all about okay, what does everyone value? How do we get that all in order? Boom, perfect, harmony, right? So kind of gotta see where people are on that stack, right? So it comes off, of course, the communication style. It comes off. It's honestly one of the easiest tools to use. And then when you have the combo, when you know what combo you have, then you have the Quadra, right? And so the Quadra is really kind of an eliminative tool mostly, because once you have their Quadra, right, kind of what their 8 types are, or 4 types depending on whether you're using a 16 model or a 32 model. Jumpers have the same Quadra, so like INTPs and INTP jumpers still have the same Quadra because the functions in themselves within the 4 stack don't change, only their order does, right, which doesn't matter within the Quadra, right? So what could I do with the information? Okay, so let's go with that very quick typing I had done. Right, so the first thing I realized, she was an ISE. What does that mean? That means she couldn't be an alpha nor a delta, because deltas and alphas are both NESI. So what we could do is just boom, have an elimination list here real quick, check them off, and boom, we've just downed this to 8 types or 16 types. So fantastic. But GG, right? And then I had realized she was TEFI, and then boom, just like that, this quick, easy. I already know the 4 types, and these 4 types are relatively different. You could very quickly determine whether someone is, let's say, an SF or an NT, and then boom, you'd only have it to 2 types, and then your job is made a lot easier. It really is something incredible that the Quadras, really, and like the function dynamics, really something else. I need to make those symmetric at some point. All right, and also we will leave tools to all these pictures, so you can use them as tools for your own self. All right, so all this was baby talk. Now let's talk about the animals. I'm not gonna be fully exploring the animals in this video because they're just simply too complex to explain, but I will give you enough information to make them operational. People have been asking me to make videos about this for so long, and here is the day. Here we are. Here they are, the animals. All right, so the animals. So the animals are about the way you operate with information and the way you operate with energy. Now, I could give you a very comprehensive lesson about information theory. I could give you a very comprehensive lesson about how the OPS team got to this stage we are at right now and how I did in MBTI. And oh my god, I could talk for hours about this goofy stuff. And the animals, you're only gonna get an idea of what they are by the end of this video, because they are really something loaded. They're really loaded. So you gotta understand is that there is an introverted energy, there's an extroverted energy. I feel like you understand that on some kind of intuitive level. And there is a now here's where it gets a little more complicated. There is a introverted way of processing information, or not processing, well, an introverted way of operating with information, and there's an extroverted way of operating with introverted with the information, my bad. So intro is kind of has the word in it, right? So in, right? So what introverted operating of information, or as we like to call it, consume, because it's all about consuming, is about internalizing the information. So people who are consume, they like to internalize the information. Now, the way this takes place, especially with types that you would put that more into question with, let's say, ESTPs, it expresses itself in very differing ways. But these types really are all, when it comes to information, are all about internalizing it. They want to have it all in there. People with high consume are usually very, let's say, good with learning stuff, because it's all about kind of getting that information in. Now, there are so many variables on whether they're gonna learn it or not, but they're technically good at doing it because that's what they do. They did it, and there's a stack, right? So how there is like a function stack. You have a stack of the animals, or like the energies and the information, let's say elements. So someone could be good at highest at consume, let's say, and then sleep, rather more introverted, and then balanced with his extroversion, and well, not balanced with extroversion, and then worse at like externalizing the information, right? So there's a stack. Just wanted to mention that. So that's what consume is all about. It's about consuming the information. That's how you operate with information. But then there's the opposite way of operating with information, which is externalizing it or blasting it out, right? So when you're OIDE, you're all about, okay, let me so organize this information and then let's process it for the outside world to put it out there. Just like how with internalizing, you're gathering this outside information and then you're processing it through your own, let's say, lens or processing element of DI or FI, or maybe both of them if you're really good. All right, so that's kind of how externalizing works. It's about externalizing information. If you're blast main, that's kind of your really good thing. You just put that information out there. That's why, for example, let's say the big difference, one of the big difference between INTPs and INTJs is their productiveness or industriousness. Why are one more productive than the other? Because INTPs rather keep the information rather in their consume. Usually they're not particularly good at blasting things, but they're really good at consuming it, right? So well, INTJs are good at blasting it, but being better at blasting usually means you're ever so slightly worse at consuming stuff. But then doesn't that mean that technically INTJs would have less quality? Well, technically you would be correct somewhat in terms of internalizing. But if someone is a hidden genius and the other one is close to that but actually shares it, well, one is gonna get the praise and the other one isn't. So yeah, big difference. But that isn't to put open the whole can of worm of types intelligence and all that. That's just a very crude way of describing things. All right. So consume is all about DI/OE, right? So how to determine that a type is consume? They're DI/OE. If you don't know what DI and OE is, go cut and watch the video. I don't know how you've made it throughout all this without watching that video, but everything explained, right? And then externalizing is all about DEOI. All right, now we get into energies, right? So energies are quite simple. So, right, people who are asleep, who kind of have this, let's say, loop of energies. Well, that's kind of what energies are. And then where you're constantly organizing things, let's say, and then processing it through your own lens. What you really are is introverted. That's what sleep is about. It's about really introversion and revision, constantly going things over and over again in your head through your own lens and organizing it over and over again. That's kind of what you do. That's what sleep made individuals are really good at. It's their introspection and revision through things. Then what they're horrible at is, and what let's say play individuals are good at, is projection, extroversion, or playing. Right. So with revision, it's like I had a ball. Right. Maybe at some point I did some internalizing. Gathered it, processed it in, and now I'm revision. Okay. So now I'm the ball. Keep constantly organizing it, and I'm keeping it for myself. But then projection is, hey, throw me the ball. Throw back. That's what projection is kind of. There's all reflection could also be a word for it. It's kind of difficult naming these things, but it's often projection because with OE you're gathering something, and then with DE you're kind of, let's say, pinging the tribe, right? So it's like saying, hey, here's a rock. Oh, rock. Hey, see this. So that's kind of why it's projection, because you're kind of looking at something in the real world and then you're putting it right back. So it's almost like you're projecting it in a way. All right. So you put all these together and you get a stack, and there's obviously the rule of you can't have two informations after each other. You can't have two energies after each other, and then two of them will be balanced, two of them will be imbalanced. Much akin to the functions, and your functions play a role in terms of information, and then they play a role in terms of energies. But one of these two is more variable than the other, and then you're balancing one or the other, right? So now you got a pretty good idea of how the animals as a concept kind of work. Now, what is a typing? As a typing, you could almost use them. Well, you could go very technical about them, but you could also, in a much simpler manner, use them as almost temperaments. Okay, so this person is very self-processed. They may talk very slowly. They're constantly about the same old shit, the same old their own perspective, the same old. Oh my god, they're introverted. Or, oh my god, this person has ADHD over 9,000. What the fuck is this shit play? What the hell, man? And then with consume and blast, it's not energy, so it's more difficult to use them as temperaments. But you could obviously blast is much more temperamental, I'd say, than consume. Because consume is all about internalizing the information that's you can't really kind of perceive that all that much. But blast is very, very, very observable, and if you know what blast is, you're gonna start seeing it and you're gonna start hating it if you didn't hate it already. Because blasting extroverted blast individuals can't shut the fuck up, but blast of people overall can't shut up. It's like, oh, I organize something, hey tribe, hey, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Play individuals are even more painful, to be honest, but it's a kind of introverted complaints over here. All right. So you could learn about consume by the opposition of blast, or you could obviously use the qualities to determine it, right? So very useful tools, and very important, right? If you notice, if you tap less Melissa talks as an ISFP and you're like, but she's so fucking blast, she can't shut up. She's also very play if you think about it. She just keeps reading of a fucking transcript or everything she has to say. Anyway, it's fun. So now you have these tools, and then the final tool, right, is kind of a combination of most of them. Things, for example, such as the Quadras, you can't really do that here, so you're gonna have to make, let's say, your own tool in a way, based off this, let's say. It's kind of difficult to use them within the tool because they're not accounted, and then the stories are also not, there's no direct way of putting them in there. In terms of clubs, you can put them in there directly, no problem. But you can obviously do everything indirectly. In terms of animals, not perfect. So, for example, if let's say someone is consume main, you could put consume here, but as you see, it won't. There's no option for consume main. If you put DI and OE, then you have consume main. But yeah, in terms of let's say IP, it's obviously DDI and fine eyes. Are those technically IPs? Yes, they are. All right. So as you see, here's all the IPs. All right. So technical ways. In terms of quadras, is there really a way of doing it? Yes, there's a way. So let's say OE and N. That's NE, and everyone who has NE within their two stack necessarily has a site to follow it. And then the same for let's say SI. There, you could indirectly also pull this stuff off. But having these pictures by your side is most definitely useful and most definitely recommended. All right, and I hope you know what all this means because you've watched these videos, and then you can go through someone's videos and be like, oh, there's that, this, that, and then boom, you have your typing perfectly nicely enough. I don't know how we got to this, but we did. All right, so I think for this video, we're good. It's 31 minutes. It's 31 minutes. Trust me, I didn't want it to be this long. Wait for part 2 where we type most critical